This is my old manor. It's kind of weird being here. Like, I've never been to the Watts gallery. I used to make jokes about Compton and Watts because, yeah, gangster. The Watts gallery is in Compton, but it's GF Watts, Victorian painter. I didn't fancy paying for the exhibitions. I used a cafe. People creep up on you. I had someone in the bike earlier. That's a very strange, loud sounding bird just right behind me. Of all the things to choose, bird call, bike bell. Classic Surrey lane. These old lanes, I love these old lanes. Hi ho, that's copyright as well. Hi ho, hi ho, hi ho, hi ho. It's off, it's over we go. Boom, 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 boom. This is the thing, I can't afford the copyright, so you have to put up my thingy. I can't afford the copyright. Oh, Disney. Who can afford Disney? I was just talking to Molly. She can't walk the grief away. I think it's a damn good try. Oops. This is oddly halting, but also not, which reminded me a lot of Paul. We call them Surrey lanes on this channel, but they're not exactly unique to Surrey, but yeah, beautiful old trackways. I'm gonna keep walking until I can't walk no more. And if that means I end up in the channel, well, not literally, in Dover, then great. For Paul, for John, this is my first long trip since John died as well, so this is for both of them. Gonna go down to the Wey Navigations. The stream. Your upward path, my downward flow, are fixed by law divine. My task is to refresh your soul, yours to discover mine. Wow. Lovely little spot. Also, good place to get some water, but I'm okay. I know I can get water in Box Hill, so I don't have to. And here is the Wey Navigations, which you're walking down a little bit. I have actually walked down the Wey Navigations to go to Godalming and then all the way, I think, Hazelmere to Guildford on the Wey Navigations when I was a lot younger. It's a beautiful walk. Always recommend it. Not doing that today. Yeah, that's near where I grew up. I'm not going to because I don't live there anymore. This is Shelford Estate, or former estate, which we call it Shelford House. Down that way, just south of Artington, Guildford Crematorium, where my stepbrother by marriage, Hamish, his funeral was there. He died by suicide. So it seems weirdly appropriate to be in sort of near there. I'm not going to detour down to the crematorium. It's like every crematorium, it's like pseudo chapel weirdness. Almost like a village hall. That was 2008. Yeah. And yeah, he's missed. He was gay. He was partly how I came out to my father. Lots of memories. It's weird to be here after what happened to Paul. I didn't actually know that the North Downs Way goes through Shelford. I knew it would go somewhere near Guildford, but I didn't realise it actually went through here. So, beautiful. But yeah, lots of memories. I'm kind of glad to get out of this area actually. So we've done 11 miles from Farnham. I thought it was about 11, 12 miles. Another lovely no crossing. Yay, rain. It may sound strange to say yay, rain, but I do not hike well in this heat. It's been towards 26 degrees. Yes, I think it's like 20 degrees, maybe more today, but it's very muggy and cloudy. There's some breeze, but not really much of a breeze. It's just sweltering. It really started chucking it down, so I put the coat on. I'm 50-50 about it because it might get hotter that way. One of the reasons why I haven't been hiking It's just 32 degrees. I struggle with hiking in 25, but when it's hotter than that, it's just like absolutely not. Some people can, but I can't hike in that heat. One of the reasons why I headed out this week is I saw there was cooler temperatures and rain, and I was like, yes please. And this is Winnie Hill, where I was planning to go last night. I just had enough by 7 o'clock. It's taken me at least 2 hours to get here, so I would have got here quite late. That's why I thought, because it's so close to Guildford, I thought in Winnie Hill, and up there's the Scholars Trail. It's the kind of place that might be quite busy. They're probably okay at night. You never really know how places are at night. It's 30 miles to Dorking. I'll see if I can get to Dorking tonight. I'd like to, because I know there's a water source there. I do know that the climb up the top of Box Hill, North Downs Way, is steep. I did that with John, and yeah, and the cooler end of the day probably alright, but it is a bit of a steep climb. Yeah, I'm gonna think put this back on and just get wet. It's just too hot to wear it. I'm glad I put this pouch on though. I mean, I've not tried the waterproofness of this pack, rubberized stuff, which seems to be intact, so I think it'd be alright. But from what I remember from my old pack is it gets heavy. And one thing I planned to do, which I forgot to do, was to spray it with Fabsil or silicone sealant. I think I might have sprayed this back in the day, so I think this will be alright. I don't really care, because all my down jacket is in a little plastic bag in here. It doesn't really matter if this is wet or not. The thing I want you to get from this video, in the hiking and wild camping and stealth community, this is our safe space. I come out walking and camping. It was a distraction. It was getting out of my head and getting into nature. It was a place to go to. I hesitate to say run away because you're running towards something good, but it is kind of what you're doing. And I know Paul, he felt that it was his sanctuary, his safe space. Everything was okay when he was camping in the woods. We're not alone in that. Lots of people, they sort of improve their mental health by, getting out, walking, cycling, hiking. Also, there's the other side, which is I really wish people would get help, because it's not a total therapy. You can't rely on that to fix you. Getting professional help, therapy, counselling, talking to friends and family, talking to somebody, is important. Yes, doing this helps. It's helping me now. It's connecting me to Paul and remembering him. But also it's quite traumatic as well, because it's reminding me of stuff. But if I was at home, I would dwell and it would be much worse. But having done counselling for John, it's really important to get that help as well. You can't just fix yourself from a wild camp. You can't, I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's a generational thing. I thought we got over this. I thought it was the boomers that did this, and like John, walking wounded, I've lost an arm and leg, I'm okay, like the Monty Python sketch. But it seems like Gen X is the same, especially men. Just keep it inside, not get help, not talk to people. Samaritans is there. There's a lot of free counselling and help, and there's no shame in getting that. I really feel that's important. We talk about this. It's why I made the grief video. There's a whole generation or generations that have just thought that they just can't go and get help. They can't speak about this, and their mates won't understand, and mates generally do understand. Family does understand, and there's no judgment anymore. I just wish people would just not do this thing of, it being too late, dying needlessly. Church is at Martha on the Hill, standing on the hill. Wow. Surrey Hills. Strange place to have a church, right on top of the hill. There's not much around here. Maybe there used to be. And there, linking back to the South Downs way, that little bump there in the distance is Chanctonbury Ring. No benches for ages, and then maybe one of the best bench locations ever. It might even been covered when it was raining. Oh well. I actually had lunch in Chantry Wood, sitting on a log with the rain. I was sheltered. Classic. Oh, yes. Which path now? Scramble. All the Molly were always trying to catch me falling over. I might catch myself falling over. Yeah, up the hill. Oh, it was a struggle to get up this. It's not even the steepest in the section. That would probably be Box Hill. This whole area, as I say, is very sand, lots of ferns. I mentioned before about, you know, playing in ferns, and you know, this is basically the area, kind of the common heathland. This is sort of what I grew up in. Less sand, a heather, gorse, bushes, and pine. In a weird way, it's almost it is a little bit Scottish. Less sand in the places I've been to in Scotland, but certainly the ferns and the heather and the pine and the gorse is very reminiscent. There's also something called Rail to Ramble, which is good. Seemingly schemed to promote people rambling from railway to railway. Also, we were briefly on the church trail. There's lots of extra trails around here, and also doing that thing where they switch the name, and you're like, oh, you're now on the so-and-so wilderness trail, the church trail, or the something trail, and you're like, oh, why not on the North Downs Way? And no, it also is the North Downs Way. Confusing. This is a case in point. It was the church trail, which is turning off, but now it's the deer trail. And it's like, okay, that's really confusing. Just tell me where the North Downs Way is. We do have the little acorns, you know, like the South Downs Way marks it, so I think it is this way, but it would be nice if they didn't start changing the names of things, as well as occasionally telling you which is the North Downs Way. But not as much as I'd like. And yes, here is one of the legendary, though not very often, North Downs Way. As we see, there's also the deer trail, apparently. Whatever that is. Not sure I like those clouds, but yeah, I'm actually getting Chanctonbury vibes. Yeah. And yes, very campable. I'm not exactly sure. It's Newlands Corner, I think, or just past in Newlands Corner. Beautiful, though not so happy about those clouds. Although, as I say, given the weather, I hope we don't have any thunderstorms. That's the only one I wouldn't want. I, for one, welcome our rain overlords, because it's just been too hot and stifling. I mean, you can see from the grass how sort of parched it is. The rain is very welcome. We're now on the Dormouse Trail. I told you about weird trail names. This doesn't feel like North Downs Way where we're going, but it is. It's just what I wanted after the rain. Go through this, at least maybe I might have washed off some ticks, I don't know. Finally, that was fun. Don't know why that bit of the section is completely overgrown. There's Newlands Corner and Winnie Hill and a few of these places. They are a maze of paths, it's quite easy to get lost. some water at the plucked pheasant. I'm trying to say that quickly. I must agree, when I saw it, I read it something else with a PH, but we're a PG channel, so we can't mention that. Yeah, I look at the drinks. Really fancied a can of pop, you know, a cold drink, £4. You know, and of course the takeaway prices are always the same as the drinking prices. All you miss is maybe the mandatory service charge. So I was like, I'll stick to water, sorry. I heard of this. This is the Optohedron by Wey Navigations. Random art. Yep. We've got some random art. I assume you can sit in it, I suppose. Maybe you're supposed to sit in it. I don't know. I bet people have sat in there. There is actually quite a lot of art. A chair at Denby's is this. There's a lot of art along the North Downs way. There's that little shiny, I suppose that's where the Optohedron bit comes from. I'm more into the view. That is a beautiful view. Something I noticed on this walk so far, whereas the South Downs Way has a lot of water stations, there's very little. I'm having to catch water off cafes and pubs, which I really hate doing. You always feel like you should really be buying something, but as I say, those prices, that's not going to happen. In this economy, I've not seen many streams. I saw that little one, the Wey Navigations. There's not really much outside of that. So maybe change further down. Hopefully, might be seeing more water stations. But I hate relying on cafes, and you have to get it while they're open and lug the water even further. Yeah, 24 degrees. I'm about 8 miles from Dorking, so planning to go there, although it looks like around more common you can get down to Westcott. There is actually a bridges underneath the railway, but that's an extra sort of half a mile, 3/4 of a mile maybe, schlep there and back. So great view. It's just a shame about the what is that, a bypass or an A road? U-trail now. Oh, there's a bit too close to U-tree. You, not me. Sheer woodlands. Insert joke here. This before Gomshaw. It does look quite campable in places. It's a bit too early. I want to try and get to Dorking as well and get some water. It's amazing as how this changes. Becomes more and more similar to Box Hill. I recognise that hillside from paintings I did around more commons. I don't know if we're getting close to that, but this is Blatchford Down, which is chalkland. I think apparently coming up is a pillbox. Ooh. It's been interesting watching a walk through. The countryside is changing. You're even getting those twisty, I don't know if they're box trees, but these twisty trees that you see on Box Hill that I've featured before. It's fun to see them on the hills coming up, slowly changing to more, less sandy, more chalk. Pillbox. Yeah, I will still do the pointy thing. That was Paul's thing. He joined in. Now he's not around to do it. Pillbox. Part of the North Downs stop line, a ring of pillboxes along the North Downs. I assume the fort on Box Hill is part of that, and also the forts in Reigate. It's very dark. Yes. Makes for very short people. Yes, we'll see more of this. We'll see more pillboxes. You know, I guess. Pillbox. I'm a sweaty mess. And that's part of the problem. I wimped out wearing the kilt because I thought, oh, ticks, but it's just been too hot to even wear lower part of these shorts. So I really wish I brought the kilt, because I've got a real problem with sweat rash now. In a very intimate place, but it's usually where I have it. And because it's been like 25 degrees, sweating, it's not very nice. And it's sort of really hurting, even though I'm putting Vaseline on it and Dermol on it. So, given that I'm going to camp at Box Hill, and home is an hour away on a bus, I am thinking of having a rest day and a refuel day, go home for a costume change. I'll see how I feel tomorrow. It's still kind of like, ouchy tomorrow. I will pack up and then pop home, because there's a few things I've forgotten, a few things that could be refilled, like I need more sun cream. There's a thing with minimal hiking, is sometimes you underestimate what you need. If I get to Box Hill tonight and camp there in honour of Paul, so I really want to camp there in honour of Paul, and also it's the 11th month anniversary of John dying, so it seems appropriate to celebrate that out here in a place that he loved as well. There's another one everywhere. Pillbox. Paul found the kilt hilarious. I can't believe I had a hiking kilt, so that would also be a good thing to remember him by. I ordered a chair that he recommended. I found it on eBay. I couldn't get it from Lidl. He looked for me. I messaged him saying, "Oh, I've got the chair," but I think it was too late by that point. And I got it for the trip that me and Paul were supposed to do next week. But so we'll see if it's turned up. For my first hike back, I haven't done anything as long as this in a year. I've done short trips, which not this intense. That was the idea of this trip, actually, was to ease myself into it and be not too far from home if I needed to head back, at least for the first section. I haven't done it so far. Scenery. He loved that one as well. I haven't felt up to doing the usual silliness. There's probably a pole in the way. Scenery. You can actually go in this one. It's not made for doors. Oh no, we can't see that anymore. It's not made for little people. Yeah, I don't really feel like finding the cellar spiders by going further around. But yeah, well, there are a lot of pillboxes. There are a lot. Someone's conveniently graffitied war onto it. What? Yeah, it was to do with World War II. Very tempted to just say, I go home tonight, but I really want to camp up at Box Hill. Only a few miles away. Just coming through Ranmore Common. Getting up to Denby's, which is the vineyard yet. It might be dark, but I know Box Hill at the back of my hand. I know it really well, so I'm pretty sure I can walk up there at dark. Steersfield, I recognise this. I've done painting here, but also there's loads of flying ants and it's raining. I don't mind the rain, it's the flying ants that are annoying me. Is that flying ant or is that rain? Do we go past the funny church? Probably. There we are, the funny church at St Barnabas. Very odd design. Didn't know Poles and Lacey was here. This is just after Ranmore Common. And this is our detour down into Denby's, I think. Denby's is a British vineyard, so here we are. Wine! It's a shame they're not open. I would get some. I would buy some. I came here with John. We're 2000s. It's quite a large estate. Wow. And there we have, I think, the first sight of Box Hill. There's a train coming in. Amount of times I've been walking usually off Box Hill at this sort of time. I mean, it's darker in here, they're losing the light, but we're not that far away. It's a very dense wood. And yeah, it looks like there could be places you could camp, but I don't know, probably not a good idea. Because I'm sure they've got security. Very grand railway bridge. That'll be for the West Humble line. Dorking, your gateway to new adventures. Like this road. There's actually I think an underpass. Yeah, we're going up there. That cliff. Yeah. I suppose I should have filmed it, but it's getting late. So I actually ran over this multi-lane highway. Very silly. Don't do this, children. Don't run over these things, risking your life. But you have to walk miles up there for the underpass to then walk down to here. And it's just ridiculous. I don't know why they can't put a crossing in here. But I have actually done it, so yeah, want to skip a few. And this is the stepping stones. Hope there's enough light to do this. I've done this before. Honest, like these ones that have got little ledges. That's maybe to stop you falling to the really deep bit. I did this years ago. Yeah, trepiding. We're going up there. Quack me. At least it's cooler now. I tried to do this at 24 degrees, 25 degrees. Ooh. I have done it in a hot day. And it killed me. See you at the top. That's what I'm only about it. About the lights, you can see it up here. And there's the lights of Dorking. Is each one of those lights a hen? It's nearly 12 o'clock. Yeah, the tent is finally up. I'm exhausted. I couldn't find a site for ages. It's a horrible site, but I just had to just go, okay, here. And I was setting up in the dark anyway. It's amazing how these got so dirty. They weren't that dirty when I started. That's just the dust and grime kicked up by the Ultras. I'm actually quite a way away. I'm away from the National Play Trail. Last time we were here with Paul, we were near the National Play Trail. We got busted by a toddler, so I'm actually not too far from when I first wild camped ever. I'm actually just right by there, but a bit further in. Those boy races. It says nearly midnight they're coming up here. It's on Thursday, it's not an actual weekend or anything. They were doing that a lot also when I was here with Paul. I'm glad I got the tent up though. I'm trying to get some food. It's 7 o'clock.
Yeah, my sweat rash is bad. Probably going to go home because it's quite bad. We'll find out when I put my shorts back on.
And yeah, I heard muntjacs. Yeah, I was thinking about Paul because yeah, the muntjacs were out.
Being noisy. There's a lot of deer around here.
To ignore you. You can feel the light on them, just like, it's not bothered to just do their thing.
I think the light would scare them off and just like ignore it.
Try as I might last night, I couldn't find anywhere that was away from this path which is running there. Seems like the more you go this way, you just hit things which aren't flat or clear that way. If you go further up there, you hit the play trail. Very badly put up. Yeah, put it up in the total darkness. Not recommended, especially trying to clear a site, because apparently it's going to hit 28 degrees today. So I'm like, it might be a good idea to have a rest day at home. But after doing these sort of 170 miles, 140 mile things, but I have to remind myself I haven't done it for a very long time. So I really have to build myself back up again. Though it's supposed to be a minimal hike, I took 4 days food and that was silly. Should only take maybe 2 days food. It is a beautiful site here. A lot of, is it flora or fauna? Deer and moths and spiders and all kinds of things. The risotto wasn't totally done. I just ate it because I was just so hungry. it burnt to the bottom of the pan. So it's all welded itself, which is annoying to have that happen to the newish Petrel G3 pot, but you know. And this is why we have the scrubby. Burnt risotto came straight off. I mean, there's still a sort of a mark that might come out with some hot water, but that's pretty good. That shouldn't come off into my water, hopefully. Though, as always, you might end up with risottos tasting water. But yeah, so it begins. There's a real problem with parasocial relationships. I think you've heard the phrase parasocial relationships. It's where people it's where people feel they know someone. I kind of understand the shock, because Paul didn't mention on his channel what he was going through, and I won't be sharing any private conversations about that at all. People are kind of digging through his videos, trying to look for, you know, clues, which I get it, but I really wish they wouldn't, because there's nothing to find there. He was a very private person, and he never really wanted to bring anyone down or depress people. So there's absolutely no way he'd mention that stuff on camera. Off camera, yes. He would talk a little bit about it and then shut it down. So I really wish he had talked about it with us. He was very clear about not talking about it on camera. Someone posted a thread about it onto Reddit. And of course, Reddit being Reddit, we've had the comments. One of them on Reddit was like, was this mental illness? I said, oh, it's always mental illness. It's like, what the hell, dude? What the hell? This is a real person here with a partner and kids. Could see that stuff. It kind of makes me not want to say anything on camera to do personal, because it feels like if anything happens to me, it'll get dug through. But it really irks me that the only reason we had to mention, because we knew it would get out anyway. Otherwise, I would have just said he died. We can have some good conversations about mental health and looking after yourself and while camping and stuff. I think that's a good thing to do. So it opens those conversations up. But we, as YouTubers, don't owe anybody any information. We might choose to share, but we don't owe anybody anything. Some people coming down here. Some people passing down on the other path, not the main path, but another path down there. I don't know if they saw me. I need to get out of here as soon as possible. But yeah, this is the first time I've known somebody who had a big following on YouTube, over 2,000 subscribers. You know, which is not the biggest, but I knew him as a person. I knew him as a friend. It's kind of weird, that disjunct between. One of the reasons why I posted that video was kind of damage control. We were already getting comments on his video. In the midst of all this, I had to think about almost like public relations. I had to think about being careful about what we say. And that is, I don't want to swear, but that's not good to have. That's a new one. You know, I know about dealing with grief, but this, I feel better now, but I know it's the ibuprofen. Paul's such a nice guy. He was like, well, this is about hiking. This is my safe space. This is my sanctuary. This is, you know, where I go to not think about that stuff in a way, or certainly not make videos about it. Maybe it would have been helpful if we talked about it on camera, but I just feel like that was his choice. I think people should honour that choice and also think about his family. Such a relief to get that down. I noticed that last night. A very suggestive collection of logs. And here, this is where I did the Alp kit video of the chair. The chair didn't last very long. Hopefully our other chair has arrived. The Alp kit video, the tactical torch video, and my first wild camp video were all recorded at the same time here. 3 videos in one. And this is the Broadwood Tower. I meant to go here last night. Oh, they've got new benches. This is new. But yeah, that's the Broadwood Tower. Named after the piano people. You might have seen Broadwood pianos. Yep, Same people. They built this as a folly. It used to be a tree growing up it. I can record it in wide angle now. Used to be a mania for these things. There's Juniper Hall, which I think was the Broadwood house. Amazing folly. All those years ago. And that was not. Wow, it's a very posh bench now. I think that's the end of this trip for now, but only temporarily. Only for the next day or so. 24 miles, 25 miles, that wasn't too bad in 2 days, especially with this minimal pack. I'll speak to you soon. This is a magical time jump. Whoosh.
That was the end of day 2 of the North Downs Way trip. We walked a distance of 25 miles along the trail. This is usually where I say, I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, it's not really that kind of video, but if you found it valuable or useful, please click the like button or hit that subscribe button. On screen now will be the next day in the series when it's available, otherwise it will be the previous day. And I've already said I'll speak to you soon, so take care of yourself.